Hey guys, welcome to day 26. I'm Sheridan. Welcome to my realm. Today we're going to talk about what I would do differently after graduating high school. So, just a little about me. I graduated high school in 2019. The next year it was COVID, and that really did a number on my motivation. Ultimately, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I knew I wanted to go into business, but I didn't know what product or service to sell, so I went into marketing. And I feel like that was a good decision, but ultimately I was postponing figuring out the business part. And I thought I was just going to figure it out, but that's not how life works, guys. It's not that you have to figure everything out right away, but you want to have a plan and a course of action that will help reveal the plan. And just going to school for something else isn't revealing the plan. And so by the time I had been in school for like a little bit of time and COVID hit, like I lost all my motivation. And I knew at that point, like I need to figure something out, but I still just went with the motions. And I'm a straight A student, always have been. And so I take pride in that. But when I graduated with my associates in marketing, I think I had one A, a couple B's, a C, and a D. I was so upset. Oh, but D's get degrees, y'all. Listen to people when they tell you that. What does that mean? It means you're putting in all this effort to get an A. Somebody else is putting in what they can. Y'all are getting the same degree, and at the end of the day, no one's really paying attention. Like I don't even understand why a 4.0 GPA in this matters so much, because when it's time to get a job and work, they want experience. They're not looking at your report card and all your A's, and they're looking at what experience do you have to prove that you're actually good in this field. And a number on a piece of paper or on a screen isn't it. So I graduated with that marketing degree and even got a job in marketing right after high school. That's how abundant and blessed our universe is. But when I started working that job doing marketing for a small law firm, I realized this was not it for me. It took so much effort. I did not want to do it. There was so much drag, but I'm like, this is a good job. I'm making this right after high school. This is a good job. And that was my only motivation, that the opportunity was here and it was a good job, and not that I actually wanted to do it, not that I felt led and called to do it, not that I felt aligned. And a lot of times we throw that out the window for stability, but the truth of the matter is there was no stability. Like the stability on the outside didn't matter if I wasn't stable on the inside, which I wasn't. And plus I hate office politics. Like it's like high school all over again. Like I don't want to deal with the cliques and the groups, and I'm the newcomer, and I hated all of it. Ended up quitting not 6 months in, maybe 9 months in. Listen, I couldn't even last a year. It was just not good. So after that I crashed out completely. And this is just a little backstory on me so I can get to the point of the lessons. I knew I didn't want to do that office job anymore, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt so worthless because I got my value from being the smart one. I got my value from being the responsible, diligent one. Like, yeah, she's going to make it. She's always been smart her whole life. She's going to go far. And where had I gone? Fucking nowhere. And that made me feel worthless and valueless, when my value and your value is beyond what this potential, it's beyond what people categorize you as. I'm a multifaceted person, and so are you. There's so much we have to offer. So back to the story. I was gonna figure it out. I was like, I'm gonna give myself a couple months to figure it out. And so I gave myself like 3 months. I still didn't know what the heck I wanted to do. So I started looking for jobs frantically because I felt like a failure if I wasn't doing anything, just living at my parents' house, not knowing what to do next. So I started getting a job at Waffle House, getting a job here, and that was not it for me. But I will say Waffle House was my basic training. It taught me how to deal with people. It taught me how to like suck it up and how to like put your feelings aside and maintain professionalism. Like I know Waffle House is known for the workers being off the chain, but at the end of the day, like you really can't be off the chain. If you flew off the handle every time a customer gave you a nasty look or attitude, like you would just be beating people up every day, and then you wouldn't have a job. So that's reserved for special occasions. And for me, it wasn't reserved for any occasion, because that's just not who I am. But I was a softie. I was somebody who was very sensitive, and sensitive to criticism. Like when I do my best and people just don't want to see, they just don't want to see it. It's not because it doesn't exist, it's because they don't want to see it. That shit hurts. And it made me realize that it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. I have to know what I bring to the table. And I learned that from being a waitress, that you can do the best you can, and some people just want to see the worst. They don't want to see the good. So well, like I have fond memories of working at Waffle House, and that's what made me realize that I should have been doing this instead of going to fucking college for something I don't even know what the fuck I want to do yet. I still don't know myself enough, because my childhood was dysfunctional. I didn't have time to figure out who I was and figure out what I liked and figure out my strengths and weaknesses, because I was trying to hold my family together as the oldest daughter. So because of that, I really didn't have a clue. And then I'm going into college thinking that's just the next, thing on the trajectory. Go to college, get a good job, blah, 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 make money. When the next thing on my list should have been figuring out who I was and making money while doing it. saving up for whatever the case may be. If I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I wish I would have stuck with that and said, I don't know where, I don't know what, but I don't need to be racking on debt right now. I need to be figuring out exactly where I can go so I can formulate a real plan instead of just, I'll figure it out later. Like, you need a solid plan. If you don't have one, the solid plan should just be hang tight and make money. Of course, I wanted to get out of my mama's house as soon as I could because that shit was toxic. Love you, mom, though. But it was toxic there, and I needed to be on my own. After Waffle House, I started working at 7-Eleven, and I learned from that, too, because I hated being a fucking waitress because I hated being in people's face. People are so fucking rude. I will never understand why people are rude to other people who handle your food. So I went to 7-Eleven. I honestly really liked being the shopkeeper at 7-Eleven. Like it was really fun to me, but I hated my manager. And I really didn't like my coworkers. I hated my managers and I didn't like my coworkers, but I actually liked keeping shop. That's for sure. And that was something that was useful for me because I'm like, I can do this. I just don't like these niggas that are around me. But after 7-Eleven, I realized that I need to do something different. And so the next year I started door dashing. And door dashing was fun. Door dashing is so fun. And I liked it, but it's like you really have to balance the whole wear and tear on your car and gas versus how much you're making. And some days there's just no telling how much you weigh. It really is a game of chance. And that gets at you some days when you need to make a certain threshold because you got bills. And I was in debt at this point. So it's like I need a certain amount every month to pay on this, to pay on my other expenses. And it was, like I said, I feel like you can make pretty good money dashing, but I realized for me personally, me putting all my energy into being a good dasher took away from the energy I needed to focus on figuring out who I was. And so I like dashing. I actually really did. It was probably one of my favorite jobs. And I love taking my friends to work with me. Like, we just, dashing's so fun. Have my friends here. I would have a car full sometimes and just be dashing with my friends. And so that was really fun. But I was spending so much time being a good dasher, learning the ins and outs, what times to go, this to this, that I didn't have enough time to figure out who I was as a person, what I wanted to do. And that was the main purpose of quitting my job. But I just basically got a new job and I still wasn't focusing on myself. And so 2 cars later, because I was dashing in one car, crashed, I got another car and was dashing in that. And I was just like, you know what? Before this car crashes, I think I need to just stop and figure this out. And that wasn't even the only thing. There were several spiritual things that made me realize, like, okay, dashing is not for me. Like, I don't need to keep delivering food. I need to figure out who I am, because when I crashed my car and I went through several months of not door dashing, not having a job at all, I actually had time to focus on myself and figure out what I wanted to do. And during that time, that's when I realized I wanted to be a content creator. I wanted to start working on my business and create motivation for other people. I want to motivate people to be bigger than themselves, to actually, snap out of the rat race and figure out what you want out of this life. Stop going with the motions, actually just be you. Stop being an overachieving goody two-shoes and figure out what you want to do in this life. And that requires you pissing some people off. And you can't do that if you want to make everyone happy. You can't make yourself happy if you're making everybody happy. It drains you. And so now that my story is done, because that honestly brings me to this point now where I still have my car before it crashed. And I was like, I need to pour full time into figuring it out. I have an agreement with my father, so ambulance going by. Okay, so I have an agreement with my dad where I still live with my dad, and so he takes care of my expenses while I'm figuring things out, and I do my part around the house, which involves a lot of homemaking and caretaking. But it works, and now I dedicate my time to pouring into YouTube, pouring into my other business, reading books, educating myself, just giving myself the college education that I didn't really receive. And now I'm here figuring it out. But now that I got that out of the way, now the story's out of the way, story time's out of the way, now lesson time. And there were several lessons in that story if you're paying attention. But the first thing I would do after graduating high school, and before you graduate, whether you know what to do or not. You know it. Some people, they already know they want to be a doctor, they want to do hair, they want to blah blah blah, they want to do this. If you don't know what you want to do, don't go to college. Automatically don't. Go to work and save money. Because whatever little job you get, it's not going to be your forever job. Whatever you do, it's something you can make money on the side, and make sure it's part-time, because you do not need to be full-time doing anything. The other part of the time, you need to be pouring into yourself. Now, when you work part-time, they will suck you in. So you got to be careful about the part-time gigs, because they'll, oh, can you come in? Oh, can you come in? And now's the time to learn that self-respect and say, no, I'm part-time. I'm only coming in when my name's on the schedule. And when your name's on the schedule too many times that week, I think that's also something you need to discuss. Like, I can only come in this amount of times. That's something getting a job teaches you. It teaches you to respect your fucking self, because when I first got a job, I was just like, yeah, I can work whenever. And they put me in with everything. Well, run you ragged. Sometimes you'll be working 7 days a week, bro. Sometimes they be calling you in on your days off, guilt tripping you and shit. And when you don't have no boundaries, you don't have a backbone, like, it runs you ragged. But some people have to learn the hard way. And I certainly did. And so now, after I learned that, the next time I got a job, I already was very clear. Like, I can't work these days. I can only work this amount. But while you're just working at Food Line or something, fast food, retail, maybe, I mean, if you do DoorDash and that kind of doesn't teach that lesson. So you would have to actually work at a place to learn the lesson. But that's the first thing. If you don't know what the heck you want to do, get you a job, because you'll learn a lot more skills in this life, working a job, dealing with other people, learning how to handle your own emotions, learning how to be responsible, waking up every day, doing what you got to do, learning how to advocate for yourself. You'll learn a lot more there than you will in fucking college, where you're doing the same junk you was doing for 12 years and, K through 12. So that's my first thing. Second, if I had to redo it, I would dedicate that other part of my time to educating myself. And once again, this is something they're not going to teach you about financial literacy in college, unless I guess you're trying to be an accountant or something. But even then, like, I don't know. All I know is that they're not teaching you the relationship that your childhood and your trauma and things you went through have to do with how you view money and how you view everything. But specifically money, like, that's going to change it. Like, you need to be educating yourself on money. You need to educate yourself just on yourself, or like your psychology, on different, like, you need to be educating yourself on how to form good habits, educating yourself on, like, changing your mindsets, because these things will actually help you analyze yourself better. Because once you analyze yourself, then you'll be able to better figure out which way you want to go, what things you want to do, what your strengths and weaknesses are. These books are tactics. These are things they're not teaching you in college. So this is better than college. These are important. Read. You need to actually fucking read, okay? That's going to be your other part. That's what you're doing. You're working part-time, and the other part-time, you need to be educating yourself. So as far as I'm concerned, you're basically a part-time student and a part-time worker. And I would stay working my job until I knew what to do. Learn how to meditate. Practice your fitness. Like, there's certain areas of your life, like fitness. You need to make sure you're doing something fitness-wise, spiritually-wise. Even if you don't practice a religion, you have energy inside you. That's the difference between you and a corpse. You have energy in you. The corpse's energy has been released from the body. And so because of that, that's what spirituality is. That's what religion tends to do. Religion calls it your soul. Spirituality calls it, your spirit, your energy. And if you don't believe in none of that, you need to just call it your life source. And your life source, it needs to be recharged. And you need to learn how to recharge it in whichever way seems fit to you. This is why this is your education period. Now's the time to question your religion. Now's time to question your beliefs and figure out what you're going to believe. Because this is the time to build your values. Build your mind up. Build your skills up. Build your spirit up. Because you need to understand why you're here. And if you don't understand why you're here, you need to understand what you believe in and why you do it. Because that will also help you when you're finding a career and what aligns with your goals. But if you don't even know what you are, you've just been a Christian your whole life because that's what you've been raised in. You've been doing this your whole life because that's what you've been raised in. That's not a foundation. Like, that's very shaky. And you're setting yourself up for burnout and for failure. If you get a part-time job and make some money, and if you're building yourself up, like learning financial literacy, understanding your values and why you believe what you believe, your money is going to stack up and your skills and knowledge are going to stack up, and there's no way you're not going to be able to figure out what you want to do next. I understand some people's situations are not that great and they have to go out and they're put in these terrible situations. But if you're in a situation where you can stay home and work your little job, maybe you have to pay your mom and pop something, or maybe not. Maybe they let you keep your whole check. The point of the matter is that you need to build yourself up financially, mentally, physically and spiritually. And when you're doing this, when you got your mind right, your body right, and money stacking, these are the perfect conditions for you to understand what area you want to move into your life. These are the areas when your body is right, your mind is right, you'll be able to feel. Now you'll be able to start receiving inspiration. It'll just come out of the blue one day. Maybe I want to do this. Things will start aligning for you. Or you'll just stumble upon it yourself while you're working out. Oh, okay, I like this. While you're reading, oh, you read something. Oh, wow, that's something I really like. While you're working your little job, now you have different things you can talk about. You might spark something with a customer, but now that you're actually expanding your mind, like you're on the lookout for this purpose. And when you're actually on the lookout, it's easier to find it than you just, I don't know what to do. I don't know. You're so worried about not knowing to do. Your eyes aren't open to the opportunities out there because you don't even know yourself. You don't even know what you want to do because you don't even know yourself. Once you know yourself, when you start to see the opportunities, you can say, well, wow, that's something I can actually do. That's something I actually like. And that's what I would do. If I could start back over at 18, I would not go to school. I might still move with my dad, but whether I stay home or not, I would have went to work. Whether I stayed with my mother or my father, I would have went to work and stacked the money, started reading books, started understanding my own spirituality. So by the time I got that inspiration, by the time I saw an opportunity, I have the money to do something different. I have confidence in myself by putting up them boundaries. So a foundation better than college is just knowing who you are and having self-respect, having a little money stacked up, and actually having a plan of action because you poured into yourself. And now you can trust yourself. You can trust your intuition. With that being said, thank you for listening to me. Your time is valuable, the most valuable asset that you own, and I appreciate you using it on me. I hope you gain some value from this, and I will talk with you later. Bye.